The issues affecting you. Revealed, explained, discussed. Now on WGAL 8 in Focus.
Hello, I'm Susan Shapiro. It's that time of year, back to school. Today we're helping parents and students get ready for the return to school. From sleep to back to school anxiety to preventive health care. We'll speak with a nurse practitioner and a parent to get some advice and practical tips that will hopefully help make it a smooth transition from summer to school. We're putting back to school in focus. Joining us now is Tammy Brown, who's a parent of a student in the Manheim Central School District of Lancaster County, and Ruth Atkinson, a certified family nurse practitioner at UPMC in Manheim Township. Welcome to both of you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Back to school. I know, here we are already. I know we always say that, wow, the summer went by fast.
Yeah, it does.
But it does seem like that. The summer is relaxation, kind of no routines for a lot of families. Is that, the biggest thing in terms of a transition that you have to make?
I think so. I think getting back into that routine can be difficult if left to the end of the summer. So, starting it a little bit before school starts is always pretty important.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, not leaving it till the day or two before to get yourself ready, start talking about the routine first and then maybe putting some of those routines in place, a few weeks before school starts so that you're ready and feel prepared. So you're not running around that first morning like crazy and starting the bad day.
Yeah, no, you don't want to start the first day on a bad day, right? What about that, Tammy? I know you have a young boy going into second grade. Is that something you've started talking about?
Yes, we have already been speaking about that, working on the routines, getting into that morning routine, getting up at an earlier time, getting showered, talking about school, what to look forward to, what kind of lunches are there going to be, do you need any school supplies, talking about going and getting a new cup for lunch, just something that he has to look forward to, making sure that everything's labeled and ready to go on his first day of school.
What kinds of things is your son asking you about that second year now? Obviously, he went through first grade. He's going into second grade.
Yes. He's wondering about his friends. When will he find out who his teacher is? Will his teacher be nice like his first grade teacher was? So he's very excited about that, but also anxious about what's it going to be like? What's his first day going to look like? Or is it going to have the same flow as the first grade? So he's a little nervous.
I think as parents, you forget what the kids might be thinking about a lot of things, especially with the start of school.
Yeah, I think a lot of thoughts run through their head, and sometimes, like Tammy's doing, she's bringing out those conversations with her son rather than letting him bring up the things that he might be thinking of, which is good because we don't always know, and kids don't always know how to express those things or their emotions or what they're feeling nervous about school.
What kinds of things are good to ask a child, especially, an elementary school student?
I think, is the flow going to be different? What will that look like? Now, obviously, we don't know how each teacher handles their day, but we can get them used to transitioning and changing and, letting them know, hey, you're going to buy lunch in the same cafeteria. It's going to look much the same as it did last year, or we're going to send lunches with you. It's going to be the same idea. You're going to have certain similarities, but things will be different, and that's okay.
Now, obviously, that's a young child. What about, the middle schoolers and the high school students in terms of getting them back into some sort of routine?
That could be much different, too, right? And teenagers tend to be a little bit more difficult because they think they know what it's going to look like, and they don't, we got it, Mom, everything's
right, you don't
fine.
have to tell me, right?
Yeah, but there are nerves that come along with them, too. And so having that kind of open communication so that they can bring up those things they might be nervous about, I think is very important. Letting them know what their schedule is going to look like. I think that back to school night can be really important as well, especially for kids entering a new, like if they're headed to middle school or high school and that's a new environment for them. That back to school night provides a time for them to see their new schedule and get where their new locker is and kind of provide that environment before school starts.
Yeah, maybe walking through it beforehand, that kind of thing.
I think that's very important.
A routine, Is your son looking forward to going back to school?
Yes and no. He is excited about seeing his friends that he hasn't seen over the summer, but he's a little apprehensive too just about how to manage maybe the kids in the class who aren't as kind and what to do about that, and having that like a psychological safety and who to talk to about that, because that was a big concern for him in his first grade class. And I said, you know, acknowledge, and it's okay, but make sure you talk with your teacher or talk to me. It's always okay to tell somebody, but I think he's more excited about seeing his friends.
Well,
Yes.
who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
Well, we hear so much about bullying now. We've talked a lot about it on this program, not only in the classroom, but on social media, even, you know, at young ages.
Right. Bullying is a big problem, especially now that we have social media and kids have phones and they can't ever really get away from that. It's just a constant thing. And we've seen more of that, especially as kids reach high school age. I know that schools are really trying to tamper that down, and I think having those open lines of communication that we've talked about before, I'm bringing up again because they're just so important, that your child can come to you if they're having a problem. And I love that your child is asking, who do I go to at school? Because that is really important. We're not always there for them. So having someone, a counselor, a teacher, a lunch lady, whoever it is that they're comfortable with talking to is really important.
Yeah, that's great, because that's a good point. You're not there 24/7 and you're encountering things that they may be concerned about.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, we're talking a little bit about mental health. We'll also talk about physical health and how you get ready for wellness in school and make it a healthy year.
This is WGAL 8 in Focus, coverage you can count on.
We continue our conversation about back to school. It's just around the corner with parent Tammy Brown and Ruth Atkinson, a certified family nurse practitioner at UPMC in Manheim Township, Lancaster County. And of course, we want our children to be healthy once they do go back to school and once they are in school. So what should you do in terms of, preparing for it being a healthy year?
Yes, well, we see a lot of kids in the summer getting those appointments in, those well visits with their pediatrician. We also would like them to see their dentist or their eye doctor, or both, depending on what they need. Those well visits are really a good time where you can review the vaccination status of your child. You can talk about any health history that they might have. Just make sure that they're prepared and healthy for the school year. We also do a lot of sports physicals because kids who are playing sports may need some paperwork filled out. They need those annual physicals, making sure that they are healthy and able to go into the school year in a healthy way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that something you've done or thought about, Tammy?
Yes, we've already taken care of that for the summer and start of the school year. So luckily for us, birthday is towards the end of the school year, so we make it just in time for the beginning of the school. Yes.
What about immunizations? What do you need to be in school in Pennsylvania?
There's a laundry list of vaccinations. If you've been seeing your pediatrician or family doctor each year, you should be up to date, and each year they will go over that at the well visit. There is also a list that the school has. You can just get a printout from your family physician, and that usually takes care of all of the vaccinations. There's also the flu vaccine, which is not until the fall, typically, is when we start giving those. The school doesn't require those, but it is recommended, as we know, lots of kids, lots of germs.
Yeah.
So I do recommend that children get that.
And of course, we've seen a pretty large measles outbreak in Pennsylvania and in other parts of the country. What should parents be, concerned about that?
Well, making sure that your child is up to date with the immunization is the most important. And we always teach the kids about hand hygiene. We know that that is the best way to keep them safe from all diseases and germs, is to wash their hands often before they eat, after they go to the bathroom. That can be difficult for the younger kids to grasp, and it needs to be, under the water, rubbing with the soap, all of that. So making sure that they are aware of how to do that before they go back to school is actually one of the best things we can do to keep them safe.
Yeah, is that something you go over with Maxton?
We certainly do, yes. He's very, very good at washing his hands and hand hygiene. So, and I always send him to school with a little antibacterial hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
So he's ready to go.
Oh, that's a good idea to keep in your backpack or something like that.
Yes.
So, and he knows how to use that,
He
I
certainly
presume?
does, yes. He's very good at that.
Tammy, I think, mentioned school lunches. There's another, aspect of keeping kids healthy. And what are some ideas, in terms of breakfast and lunch?
Breakfast is very important. I mean, they always call it the most important meal of the day. I don't necessarily know that that tracks, but it is very important.
Right.
We know that. So starting the day, it doesn't have to be a huge meal. Starting with a protein, getting maybe a fruit in there to get some carbohydrates, get their mind going so that they're ready to go for their day and they have the energy they need to make it through lunch. At lunch, it's important that they're getting something that they're actually going to eat. Oftentimes we see kids who don't finish their lunch because it's something they don't like.
Right, they bring home the same lunch or something,
so
right?
Figuring out what that looks like for them, something healthy but also something they enjoy. Again, wanting to make sure they get all of their protein, their fiber, maybe a dairy like cheese, vegetables, a fruit, and milk is important as well.
How do you handle that, Tammy?
That's a little difficult for us, to be honest. So as he's getting older, he's more interested in buying the lunches, so it's a little bit more healthy and more balanced. But honestly, I try to just pack what I know he's going to eat. And the biggest thing for us is he feels he has to eat everything and bring nothing home. And I said, just eat what you're able to eat in the time frame you're able to eat in. I mean, for us, it's good that he can eat tons of fruits and cheeses, so we get that in. But the protein's a little bit harder along with the vegetables. But we do our best.
Yeah, right.
That's all you can do, really.
Right.
You're getting things, you're getting the calories. He'll be fine.
And of course, those nutrients are important for learning, aren't they?
Absolutely, absolutely. Our brains, when we're hungry, first of all, we can't focus appropriately. And when we don't have the things we need, like protein and other things that are important too, those calories that keep us going throughout the day. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, another big issue, sleep for children and all of us as we head into the school year. So we'll talk more about that when we come back.
This is WGAL 8 in Focus, coverage you can count on.
It's that time of year, back to school, and we continue our conversation about that with parent Tammy Brown, who's the parent of a child going into second grade in the Manheim Central School District of Lancaster County, and Ruth Atkinson, a certified nurse practitioner at UPMC in Manheim Township, Lancaster County. I'm wondering whether kids get more or less sleep during the summer or whether they get less during the school year.
It's hard to say, really. We were talking earlier, I think my teenagers get more sleep, but I'm not sure it's good sleep. It's very disjointed. They sleep a lot during the day and stay up late at night.
So what is good sleep for a young person?
Good sleep for a teenager needs a lot more sleep than we realize. 8 hours minimum, but they actually need about 10 hours of sleep a night. And I don't find many teenagers are actually getting even the 8 hours that are necessary. And I think we really underestimate the importance of sleep. And good sleep would be that non-disjointed sleep, a full night of sleep where they're not waking up multiple times. That's what I consider a good night of sleep.
Why is that so important?
Sleep is so important for many reasons. One of the big reasons is that our body is allowed to heal during sleep. It's important for our immune system. We know that immune health is very important, especially as we enter the school year and kids are around a lot of germs.
Right, we're talking about those germs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important for mental health because when we're unable to have the sleep we need, we're not always able to control our emotions. We become irritable. We might be more anxious. It's also, sleep is very important for our performance in school, our academic performance, just our ability to focus and do the academic things that are important. Focus on our tests, focus on our homework, all of those kind of things.
So Tammy, how do you get back into that sleep routine?
We've been trying very badly to get into that. It's a struggle right now. It's hard. We're talking about getting to bed earlier, limiting screen time before bed, and trying to be in bed by 9 o'clock, which I would still like it to be earlier, but it's hard right now, especially with the sun being out still. It's bright, but we're doing that. I'm getting up in the morning at an early time, and he's getting up a little after me and getting himself ready and just in preparation for school.
What time is that when you say getting up early? It's pretty early, isn't it,
Yeah, it's pretty early
kids?
for him. He's getting up right around 6 o'clock in the morning, so it's a short time of sleep that he's getting in the night right now.
And that's a long day.
It is a very long day.
So how is he with sleep? Does he mind going to sleep? Does he put up a fight, or is he okay?
No, he's very good about it. He'll let me know when he's tired and he's ready to go upstairs and go to bed. So thankfully that's a good thing. But getting him into that bed and staying there and falling asleep, that's the difficult task we have.
Yeah. So any ideas for people who might be struggling to get back into some sort of sleep routine?
I think Tammy's doing a really good job of starting it early. We kind of need to just transition. We can't be all or nothing, right? So starting them just an hour earlier, maybe 1 week, and then the next week another hour. I think having him wake up early is difficult, and I think you're doing a great job at being able to do that in the summer, because I don't know many kids who can or who will. So that's a very important thing to start at least a week, maybe two before. If we can shift it an hour 1 week and then another hour the week before school, hopefully that will put us in the right time frame.
Yeah, because like you said, it's so important, and I know high school students sometimes stay up very late doing work and on their screens when you might not know it.
Exactly. Screens are one of the biggest issues, I think, with sleep with teenagers especially. They have those phones in their hands, and it's very hard for them to put them down and go to sleep. We try to get it out of their hands about an hour before, but it can be very difficult to do. And they have work obligations sometimes. They have sports, activities, friends, homework that might keep them up late. There's just so many things.
Yeah, it's a full load, and it can be taxing on your physical health and mental health. And we'll talk more about the mental health when we come back.
This is WGAL 8 in Focus. Coverage you can count on.
Going back to school is not always an easy transition for students, parents, even teachers. And we're talking about back to school with parent Tammy Brown, who has a second grader, a student going into second grade in the Manheim Central School District, and Ruth Atkinson, a certified family nurse practitioner at UPMC in Manheim Township, Lancaster County. Thanks for being here and talking about all of this. We talked a little about anxiety. What can give young children and even older kids anxiety in terms of school?
Going back to school is one of the times where we can see anxiety really spike because of all of the changes. The children of all ages, 7 to 17, they all have anxiety when it comes to going back to school. Things like performance anxiety, that's a big one we see with kids. Like she talked about with her son. What will the day look like? Who will be in my class? What will my friends look like? Will I be able to see my friends? That can also bring about social anxiety. Being in a new environment, kids who are switching from elementary to middle or middle to high, those are times where anxiety is a little bit higher as well. So being aware of those is very important.
And how does that play out? What does that look like in a young person or an older student?
Interestingly enough, in younger kids, anxiety can present very differently than adults. So we really need to look for different cues. Sometimes when kids are acting out, it's not a behavior issue, it's an anxiety issue. They don't always know how to express how they're feeling or who to talk to about how they're feeling or even what it means. So it's important to keep those lines of communication open to start those conversations with them. Hey, you might be feeling anxious about this. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about what your day is looking like. I noticed that you're not eating your food that you normally love or hanging out with your friends that you normally love. What might be going on there, trying to open those conversations.
It sounds like you do some of that, Tammy, asking your son maybe some pertinent questions. What would you say to parents?
Yes, I would just say have that open dialogue, ask open-ended questions that they have to respond to. You know, what was the best part of your day? What happened that didn't go very well for you? And discuss that of how we can handle it better next time or what to do, who to go to when those things aren't quite going your way.
And I guess try not to be judgmental, about it, or
yes, don't give yourself such a hard time. Be open and willing to look at yourself. And as a child, it's hard to have that self-reflection, but to teach them about that. And it's okay to not be perfect at everything you do, and we're all learning and every single day. And no one's going to be perfect every day.
Yeah, no, there's a lot going on there. You mentioned friends, that's important, but friends can, also present some issues for kids, can't they?
That's true. We talked about bullying a little bit earlier, and that's one of the reasons I think keeping those lines open is so important, because oftentimes we see teenagers who are being bullied, they're not talking about it, they're embarrassed about it, they're not telling anyone about it. So it's very important to ask your child. I like how you said, what was the worst part of your day? What didn't go so well today? I think that's wonderful because it allows them to open themselves up to you where they may not have.
And I would presume take them seriously if they say something, don't say, pass it off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because if they are telling you something,
Yes.
I think it's important.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So what's your house going to look like on the first day of school?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm hoping it'll be somewhat organized. Book bag will be ready to go. Lunch will be packed if we need to pack the lunch the day before. But I think that we'll be well organized and ready to go. The hardest part for me will be getting that first day picture. Yes, that's the hardest part for us. But yes, I think he'll be excited just to get back in that routine and see his friends and get the new year rolling.
All right. Well, I know folks do that, take a photo each first day. So I think it's hard on parents too, isn't it?
It is. It is for a lot of reasons. I think there's anxiety for the parents as well.
Sure.
Letting our kids go off into the world and not knowing, will they have friends? Will they be bullied? Will they do well? And just making sure that life is good for them.
Yeah. Well, we hope it goes well for you and for your son, and we really appreciate you talking about some of your routines and what you do. And thanks for all the advice.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for WGAL 8 in Focus. For all of us at WGAL, I'm Susan Shapiro. And join us again next Sunday morning at 11 o'clock for WGAL 8 in Focus, right after NBC's Meet the Press. And you can watch each episode of In Focus, plus WGAL's latest newscasts, original programming, and more. Just download the Very Local app and stream for free on Roku and Amazon Fire TV.